Yes, dear, he's been studying abroad.
Really? Which broad? What's her name?
Candace.
Do me a favor. Try not to burn the house down before Monday.
Okay, so it's Monday. That is good to know. I will plan my toga party accordingly. Where are you going?
Your father's flying us to the Bahamas for a little getaway.
We might have to make a quick stop.
At the Pentagon, right? Don't worry, you're gonna love the holiday menu with the commissary.
You know, they say sarcasm is a metric for potential. If that's true, you'll be a great man someday. I'll get the bags.
He does miss you when you're not here. And frankly, you're going to miss us. Because this is the last time we're all going to be together. You know what's about to happen. Say something. If you don't, you'll regret it.
I love you, Dan. And I know you did the best you could. That's how I wish it happened. Binarily augmented retroframing, or BARF. God, I gotta work on that acronym. An extremely costly method of hijacking the hippocampus to clear traumatic memories. It doesn't change the fact that they never made it to the airport, or all the things I did to avoid processing my grief. But... Plus $611 million for my little therapeutic experiment. No one in their right mind would have ever funded it. Help me out, what's the MIT mission statement? To generate, disseminate, and preserve knowledge. And work with others to bring it to bear on the world's great challenges. Yeah. Well, you are the others. And quiet as it's kept, the challenges facing you are the greatest mankind's ever known. Plus, most of you are broke. Yeah? Oh, I'm sorry, rather you were. As of this moment, every student has been made an equal recipient of the inaugural September Foundation grant. As in, all of your projects have just been approved and funded. No streets, no taxes, just reframe the future. Starting now. Go break some eggs.
Excelsior Troop Leaders, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at Ironheart, which, I'm just going to be completely honest here, having not ready access to comic books at the drop of a hat, new comic books specifically, I didn't know a whole heap about this character. Did some pretty basic, I'm being completely honest, just sort of overview research of the character, some of the biggest villains that she has, so that I could do a little bit of speculating on what this might be, because we've got a title and a main actor, and that's about it. That's all we were given really, as well as sort of a vague release date. I will dive into all of this in a little bit more depth in a second though, but for now, I have unboxing things. We're going to start with this one, because it's the easiest one. Now, as you've probably been able to tell over the course of December, I like Marvel Studios. I bought the collector's edition box sets for the first two phases, and then when they completed phase 3, they released the Infinity Side box set, and I already have the first half of it, making it kind of pointless to buy and end up with doubles of the first two phases. And there was, it was going to be really expensive to just buy each individual movie. But I was finally able to track down, this one's still got a price sticker on it, let's take that off. paid an appropriate amount. Phase 3 parts 1 and 2, they were both just sitting there, and yeah, not a bad deal. There's 11 movies here and bonus discs in both boxes. It only cost me $100, so cheering. Considering that Phase 1 only has 6 films and that box cost me like $300. I digress. So finally got those. I can finally have just stay at home. Don't even have to worry about using Disney Plus for it now. I can just have a Infinity Saga marathon, which is great. Now for the actual unboxing one. Oh yeah, that's the one on the top that we want to see. Yeah, okay, it's just the receipt in the bottom there. Yes, it smells like fandom. Okay. We're gonna make a full video about this, but this one's our latest obsession. This is number 1. Which one? One of these is a collector's edition and has a unique number. I want to know what my unique number is. Is it? I feel like it's this one, but I can't see it on here. No. No. But that's cool. Shirt. You can sit there for the moment. Maybe it's this one. And like I said, we'll be doing a full video on this one because this is their Easter egg t-shirt. This is the one I might have, but Easter eggs are going to be super annoying down the back. Alright. I already see some with the cop design, but there are supposed to be Easter eggs all through this. What have we got here? For instance, right at the top, we got a Quicksilver. We've got a Wiccan and a Speed. It says no more mutants. There's snuck in there, that's there. Look, there's a whole really cool stuff. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna look into it in its own video. Yeah, that's cool. Some more details that you guys sort of. I see you hiding in there with the rest of that red. So yeah, we'll do a full video on that in January. You know what? We'll do that on January 14th. 14th? I think that's the right date. So that we can do a first episode review on the 15th. I think that's the way to go. Anyway, Ironheart. So we have playing Riri Williams, Ironheart, is Dominique Thorne, and she is as of yet the only cast member we know of. Obviously you can't announce an Ironheart show to investors without already having an idea of who's playing that title character, just so that there's a little bit of comfort in announcing that to investors. The one thing that I have seen more than anything is that we're probably going to meet her best friend Natalie, at least in the first episode, just to set up a backstory. And speaking of that, in the comics, Riri attends MIT, which, if that doesn't remind you of anything, I know I can use props now. Civil War. First film of Phase 3. The opening sequence where we first see Tony Stark in that film. He's at MIT. He's showing off the bath technology, and then he gives grants to all the students in attendance for their projects. That could be how Riri is able to build the Ironheart suit. Now we may get to see her become a legacy hero for Iron Man, much in the same way that Kamala Khan is a legacy hero for Captain Marvel. And it would also be really cool to see her team up with Harley Keener, who a lot of people think should be the MCU's version of Iron Lad. Really just so that the random Harley Keener bit from Iron Man 3 and then again in Endgame at Bernie's funeral doesn't feel like it's going nowhere. And I don't think that's the case. I think they are going to make Harley Keener Iron Lad in the MCU. Because I don't know that general audiences are going to be able to get behind the Nathaniel Richards' Iron Lad present and Kang the Conqueror is his future version of himself coming back in time. That's too much for general audiences to think about. I think it's just going to be, here's this guy, he time travels, here's this other kid, and they're going to separate those two identities just a little bit. But yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool. Plus, Harley Keener could have developed his own Iron Man suit from the tech that he was given at the end of Iron Man 3 and sort of in response to Tony Stark's death. Pepper Potts as Rescue, or maybe even just as Pepper Potts, might appear as a mentor figure, and this is also the perfect way to bring in Robert Downey Jr. Again, I think there were reports that he wanted to come back because he just enjoyed like the work atmosphere, I guess. This would be the easiest way to bring him in without cheapening the death of Tony Stark himself, and make that holographic message that was left for Pepper and Morgan at the end of Endgame actually be an AI. And part of the program was deliver this message and then just sort of go into sleep mode. And when you are needed, it will wake you up again, sort of a thing. And this could be that case. In the comics, Tony Stark does give an AI based on his own personality to Riri to be a mentor to her, and to also be like her version of Jarvis, sort of a thing. I think, I can't remember where I read it, I think in the MCU the AI in the suit's going to be called Amy or something like that, AMI, which, look, you swap those last two letters around, you've got AIM. We know that that's an Iron Man villain, hasn't really been explored. We know that Roxxon's going to show up in Loki, and it's also popped up in all of the Iron Man films as well. They might make a move. Hard to tell. But Ironheart will likely become the Iron Man of the Young Avengers. Both because she's female and of an ethnic minority, and Marvel's really trying to push for that full representation on their teams. I would just, yeah, we won't get into the fact that they're trying to be more representative of others. They are actually phasing out all of their white male characters, and white males still exist. They're still a thing, but it's good that these minorities are getting attention. It is. As far as the villain's concerned, we might be able to see Eclipse turn up. Eclipse appeared in, and I'm sure comic heads will correct me if I'm wrong, but Ironheart number 7, and she was able to sort of create this like mist, which I don't know if it's connected to this other ability she has or not, but she's also able to sort of create like mindless zombies sort of things out of people, which is kind of cool. If they do that, this series is the eventual, the real world eventuality of what the What If episode will be setting up with its zombies episode. It's not exactly the same, but it's close enough that we're not really going to care about the difference. And that sort of definitely keeps in spirit with What If being sort of some of these are just fun little thought experiments. Some of these are telling you things that are coming. So it's going to be, watching that show is going to be like fine-tuning with the things we want to happen in the MCU and which things that we think won't. But if we get a glimpse in this show, that zombie episode looks pretty likely to happen, at least within this show. It is, however, more likely that we'll get the Inhuman, Tomo, the Techno Golem, and her minions, the Biohack Ninjas. We know that Miss Marvel is already going to exist in this universe by this point. We've already shown up in her own show, and probably also in Captain Marvel 2 by this point. Meaning that Inhumans will be sort of, maybe by that point we'll get an announcement that they are actually going to make an Inhumans movie, and actually try their hand at it properly, as far as being a movie is concerned, rather than the TV show we ended up with. But yeah, this would be a really cool way to sort of tease that there are other Inhumans out there, as well as if Quake does show up in Secret Invasion, like I think she should, then Tomo will be our first sort of evil Inhuman. We'll have seen two on the side of good. This will be our first like main villainous one, which would be really cool. There is also Lucia Lombarda, who is a cyborg, which is kind of cool, who comes from Latveria, and could lead to a future encounter, probably not within this series, but definitely for her character, with Doctor Doom. And that could be where he ends up acquiring that signature armor, and maybe even his cape as well. There is a story, I think it's an Ironheart story too, where he does do that. He does actually take an Iron Man suit to sort of replace his armor, because then not only is he essentially an evil Iron Man, because he's a man of science with a high-tech suit of armor, but on top of that, he also has the magic side of things, which is just like the alternate universe version of Tony Stark, who is that universe's Sorcerer Supreme. This would be a really cool way to see that, I think. Two other characters that could appear as well, who have appeared in Ironheart comics. Melina Vostokov, the Iron Maiden, makes an appearance at one point. She would be played by Rachel Weisz, and this would potentially mean that she ends up joining the Thunderbolts, and therefore would be appearing on behalf of the Thunderbolts, to confiscate the Ironheart suit, because it doesn't. That would help lead into armor wars, where it's like we need to get rid of this technology so that, because it's fallen into the wrong hands. It's a matter of perspective, if you ask me, but wrong hands, objectively speaking, from whoever our lead character is for that particular thing. Which I think for armor wars, it's Don Cheadle's War Machine. So the right answer is any other military. But yeah, so she would be appearing on behalf of the Thunderbolts for that, A, because it leads into that, and B, because it goes against the Sokovia Accords. And if that's going to be the case, Sharon Carter has also worked closely with rereading the comics as well. She could show up on a similar thing on behalf of the government, and that would help tie in Falcon and the Winter Soldier this as well. Release date at the moment looks like it's going to be 2022, and if we're sort of going sequentially, the next date that I think is the most likely one would be July 15th, 2022. And that's it. That's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more from me, and that notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. And until next time, guys, keep it good on.